Hi everyone. This video is going to be about the week 1 journal assignment for LIB 101, The Art of Being Human. Okay, so this week we are reading the Odyssey and engaging in a discussion. And the prompt begins with an idea from Joseph Campbell that many different types of myths and stories follow a similar pattern, including those that occur in our own lives or obstacles that we face. And the reason why we're so connected to these myths and these stories is because they reflect something deep inside of us in relation to our psychology that connects with our own lives. So the first thing you need to do is watch the What Makes a Hero video. And it's all you have to do is click the link in the first paragraph. The second thing, after you complete that, and you might watch it multiple times, and as you watch it, think about how it applies to your own life. But the second thing you have to do is in 2 to 3 pages. If you don't write 2 pages, you'll lose points. Don't make me reformat your papers. If the minimum is 2 pages, you need to write 2 pages. So in 2 to 3 pages, describe one obstacle that Odysseus meets in his journey. What is the obstacle and how does he overcome it? So there are 2 things you really need to do. Explain the obstacle and explain how he overcomes it. So you should do that in about a page. The second page, you should make a connection to your own life and discuss a situation when you faced and overcame an obstacle in one of your own journeys that came between you and your destination. You may interpret this journey symbolically, for example, a journey to yourself, to knowing more about yourself, about who you are, or back to your family or heritage, or one to follow a dream. In keeping within the 3-page limit, be sure to focus on essential points in both your journey and that of Odysseus. The grading rubric is right here. So if you click on that, you will you'll see the different categories that you'll be evaluated on. Okay, so there are many, the whole book is an obstacle, essentially. Just a series of obstacles, not only for Odysseus, but also for Telemachus, for Penelope, and others. So it says here that you should write about something that Odysseus faces, but if you wanted to write about something Penelope faces or something that Telemachus faces, I'm totally open to that as well. So, Penelope faces the suitors, right? She faces the issue of whether or not her husband is dead, and then whether or not she should remain faithful, and whether or not she should marry one of the many guys that are hanging out and eating all their food and partying and drinking all their wine, and essentially treating she and her son like crap. There's Telemachus, who faces the problems of a father who is not there, someone he still loves, but someone he barely remembers. I think he was a young child when Odysseus left. And then there's also the things that he faces in terms of the honor that he needs to display toward his father. It's important to remember that we're dealing with ancient Greece here, so very strong ideas about heroism, courage, and the duties of sons to avenge their fathers. So if somebody kills your father or your uncle or whatever, you better be out there trying to hunt them down and kill them, because revenge in a certain sense was a virtue. None of this turn the other cheek or whatever else. Let's cut out their tongues, burn them on the fire, and revel in the blood of the sacrifice of our enemy. Pretty gnarly, but still happens today. We shouldn't think that we're too far removed from that. And then the final thing, Odysseus faces multiple examples. So you might use the Cyclops. You might use when he is on the island with Calypso. And so he wants to go home. He's like, oh, boo-boo. But there he's like hanging out with the goddess and he's having sex with her and for like 7 years or whatever. And so it's kind of like, does he really want to get home? Like, why has he been doing what he's doing? Is she forcing him to? So there's the getting off the island. There's the sirens. There's the getting back to Ithaca and then having to be hidden in the guise of an old beggar man to go in and face the suitors and to take revenge. And then there's his wife, and he's wondering if his wife has been faithful, even though he hasn't been faithful. But he expects her to be faithful. So that's another thing you might consider. So anyway, there's tons of obstacles that you can choose. Now, in relation to your own life, you know, in good writing, you would want to choose an obstacle that relates to your own life and the obstacle that you're going to talk about from your own life. So you wouldn't want to choose like the Cyclops and then have no connection of Odysseus getting away from the Cyclops to your own obstacle. Now, if you do that and you do both well, you'll still get a good grade on the assignment, but the highest grades will be given to students who draw that clear connection between the obstacle that they identify from Penelope, Telemachus, or Odysseus, and then their own life journey. So if you've been in a Penelope situation, maybe you talk about that. If you've been in a certain Odysseus situation, maybe you talk about that and then relate it to your own life. Remember that everything is an obstacle. The obstacle is the way. So you don't have to think of obstacles. You don't need to write about really extreme cases either. You don't have to write about the most extreme event that ever happened in your life. If you want to do that, you can. But you can take something as simple as, you know, getting in a minor car wreck on the way to work and nobody was hurt or whatever, but it ruined your day, it ruined the week or whatever. But then you had to, you know, you can use very simple examples, and often simple examples can be much more powerful than examples that are really extreme. So I hope that this video helps you as you approach your assignment, and I look forward to seeing your work.